All right. Well, it looks like we're live according to Zoom. Just going to confirm that. Cool. All right. Hey, well, welcome everybody to Feedback Friday. And I had to mute the playback. Anyway, so we are live. Really looking forward to doing this today. Again, if you have any questions live as you tune in, first off, glad you're here. Just go ahead and, as we'll be taking questions live, put them in the chat and we'll just get to them. We're also going to be going through some of the other stuff. And obviously today we have a lot. Obviously, I've titled this, anything from text message marketing, because we have a lot about SMS marketing that we're going to talk about, as well as working with agents as an investor, how you can actually get that relationship, whether it's dealing with a challenging agent. We put out a video yesterday about that, where Chris was able to overcome for one of our clients in our mastermind the objection of, I'm not getting a commission on the front end for a wholesale transaction, which was an off-market lead, by the way. So we never marketed it as an MLS where you get a buyer representation commission paid by the seller. That's not something that we agreed to. So how to get through that, and some questions and comments that were related to that video. And then, of course, what we're going to talk about, because I'm excited, it's been a while, the prop stream versus property radar versus PropWire video. There was a question that we're going to get into about searching and pulling data, so managing data and how to do it appropriately. There's a couple other questions that we got over the last couple weeks that we haven't even addressed yet, which has been the same question a lot of people asked when it comes to data in and of itself. And that is, how am I pulling prospect lists to be niche and targeted? So we want to jump into a lot of that today. So you got me, Christian Weatherspoon, here, Real Estate Investing Made Easy, and it's time to make it easy. So let's just dive in right now. So one of the first questions that we got was from her name is Jack Wren. And Jack, I understand your question and where it comes from. Just so everybody's clear here, it's about SMS marketing, real estate lead generation. Isn't this illegal now? So Chris and I sat down right over there on that couch and talked through SMS marketing. Now, this is not exclusive to real estate investing. There's a lot of businesses that do SMS marketing. And there's been a lot of changes over the past couple of years. So with those changes, obviously, we've had the question, isn't this illegal now? Is it still a good method to use inside of my real estate investing business to get in front of sellers? And actually, I'm using my cell phone right now. Actually, I got the notification that we were live. So I'm just going to mute it here. The answer is yes, of course, it's great. It's a great method. And the answer is no, it's not illegal. But I understand the nature of your question, because what you're asking is based off of a rumor that you've heard. Now, the truth is it's been heavily regulated, and there are specific things and hoops basically that you have to jump through to make sure that you're doing it right. Okay, so what is doing it right, I guess, would be the next question. We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to put in this right here, and I'm going to say I'm answering your question right now, live. Feel free to join conversation. All right. So, Jack, hopefully you will be able to see the answer to this question. Because this isn't the first question that we've gotten related to this, is it illegal? No, it's not illegal, but just because, I say no, it's not illegal doesn't mean that there's not some other steps to take. Now, we're not necessarily, we've never been secret about this. We've been using launch control for text message marketing since we started. Now, there is something to be said about launch control 4+ almost 5 years into it now for our business, as we've been using this as one of the main marketing methods for our real estate investing business. We sent over millions and millions and millions of texts last year, the year before that, not just for ourselves, but also for some of the clients we were fulfilling for like done for you marketing. And we found that, of course, it's the quickest way to get in front of people, but other people were doing text message marketing, other real estate investors, and they were doing it incorrectly in a way that was kind of poking the bear of regulation. And ultimately 10DLC came around the corner in 2020 or so. And, it's 2021, and it's been challenging for a lot of people, so much so that if you haven't seen it yet, you don't really need to see it, because I'm just going to tell you about it right now. There was one platform that essentially went out of business, and a flood of investors went either to Launch Control or Smarter Contact and a couple of the other ones, but the biggest competitors are Launch Control and Smarter Contact. So with that, you need to jump through the hoops of registering your EIN. And if you don't have an EIN, then you need to get an EIN. Whereas before, as real estate investors, the question has always come up and continues to come up: do I need an entity to start investing in real estate? I'm not going to advise you not to have an entity when you're investing in real estate. When it comes to text message marketing, you're going to need one. And that is because, technically speaking, no, you don't need an entity to start investing in real estate. You can use your own name and buy a property in your own name, invest, and it just exposes you to liabilities if you're doing this on, the regular, if this is something that you're trying to make a business. Because if you consider the fact that, you can make a lot of money when you're, flipping a house or wholesaling a contract or whatever, and you do it in your own name one time, like that could just be, I'm Sam, the homeowner who's trying to sell my property, or I'm Sam, the buyer who's trying to buy a property one time, and then I realize, hey, there's a creative strategy I could use, and we don't need real estate agents. Real estate agents are here to help, uh, you know, facilitate the transactions, but that doesn't mean that it's an absolute necessity. So in the same way you can buy or sell a house without a real estate agent, you can buy or sell a house without an entity. But if you're serious about real estate investing and you're going to build a business and you're going to do this at a high level, then of course you want an entity. You want an LLC. We have an LLC. We have an S corp. So there's more discussion about that later. But as far as text message marketing, now you need one. If you're going to be text message marketing, it doesn't matter what platform you're going to go with, you need that now. So is it illegal? No, it's not illegal. Let me show you a couple things here on Smarter Contact as well as Launch Control, the two platforms that we've been looking at for a long time. The ones that we've been using for the longest are both Launch Control and Smarter Contact. Launch Control, obviously, we've talked about it for a little bit longer, but over the last, I don't know, it was probably about 8 months ago, I did a video where I really came out and said, hey, there is one competitor that I'd recommend, because if you look at Launch Control, you can look at their pricing. Now I'm going to share my screen here. You look at their pricing model, and these are the plans that they have. So for 10,000 outbound messages, $497 a month, all the way up to the Pro, which is 50,000 outbound messages per month. And that's just the base, right? There's not really, there's an enterprise plan if you're trying to go above and beyond that. And yes, we've had several of these Pro accounts. We've changed them to Core and upgraded them again to Pro, depending on the market, because we're in a lot of different markets. And when people look at this price, especially if they're trying to get started in real estate investing, it's too much. And I get that. Either way, by the way, you're still going to need to register for 10DLC. So 10DLC is going, I think there's probably, the TCPA compliance is registering with 10DLC. It doesn't look like they have any information right on the front page. So that's good. Then you're tuning into the right video. If you're like, hey, I want to text message market, and this is something that I want to do. I don't know what platform to go to. I'm going to share both of these with you, because they don't have any of the 10DLC information that's obvious right here when you go over to this. So all that being said, you will register. They do it for you, and so does Smarter Contact. So what's the difference? Smarter Contact, as I said about 6, 8, 9 months ago, I could be quoted saying it's a silent giant set to slay its competition. And here's the reason why. When you go to, as we just saw, Launch Control, the prices are pretty high. You go here to, here the barrier of entry is a lot lower. So if you're just getting started, then, you want to start off on Smarter Contact, because it's going to help you get more familiar. because what you don't want to do is you don't want to spend a lot of money to have a really great marketing machine, but then not know how to use it. So in SMS marketing with launch control, I would imagine, and I can be pretty accurate, even though I don't have the stats in front of me, the people who are using it have been in the game for a lot longer and they understand how to use it at a high level. But for those people who are just getting started, like, you don't have $1,500 a month just to dedicate to have the ability and have the platform to text message market, because then you're going to need to use the whatever data provider you have, and you're going to skip trace the lists, and that's going to be costly, especially if you're trying to do 50,000 outbound records every single month, and then you're paying what we pay is 8 cents a record to skip trace, and it's high quality data. But I mean, I know that you can get your normal skip tracing is 15 cents a record, 20 cents a record. I mean, geez, if you're going 50,000 records, you're spending a lot of money. You're spending thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's not really great for those who are just getting started. But one of the reasons I said, hey, I don't think we should go with Smarter Contact if you're looking to scale, it's not as scalable, was actually mitigated recently. We're going to put out more content about this specifically. But if you're using launch control, Smarter Contact has now become more of a direct competitor, like directly head on. And then I'll take a look in a future video at more depth in this, but I'll share with you a little bit more of what I'm talking about. You see how in the price breakdown on launch control, it says above the 50,000 outbound messages, $14.97 Pro, anything 100K plus deal potential. Forget about the 100K plus deal potential, because it depends on what market you're in, right? We did over $700,000 worth of wholesale assignments last year. But that doesn't mean, that it was a lot of leads if you're in a market like San Diego. We did invest across the country, so, there were a lot of transactions involved. But all that to say, you don't have to wholesale. But then when you look over here, it's not based off of deal potential. It's based off of outbound, marketing, which I think honestly is the way you should do it. So enterprise here, you can get all the way up to the similar price point. So this 75K is $1,500 a month, and that's 75,000 SMS included. Whereas if you look over here, you got your 50,000. So they've become direct competitors with launch control. Now, as I've always said, this is like Chevy versus Ford. I got a mug. I'm not using it today, but it's a Chevy mug. And, one of my best friends drives a Ford, and I'm still friends with him. So put it, as it may, there will be a much, much, much deeper dive into the two of these. So obviously it's not illegal. These companies would not be in business. So answering that question and expounding on something that's really great and exciting news, the reason why these two, not just because of the price points and the return on investment that you can get with text message marketing in general, and the ease that you have in registering 10DLC, because it's not illegal, those are just the regulations. It's not all just that. It's also the fact that when it comes to text message marketing, there is, if you haven't heard of this, TCPA predators that will essentially sue the crap out of you and then just, settle. And then that's what drives the industry of TCPA predatoring. And that what's removed here is blacklist litigator scrubbed. It'll take away those people who are flagged as litigators, who, if you contact them, even if you do everything within compliance. So, I mean, obviously you would say, why the heck would you even text message market? Well, ultimately, it's the fastest way. Everybody has a cell phone, right? It's right by you, within 2 feet of you. It's the fastest way to get a yes or a no. And of course, we want to disqualify quickly. One thing I like about Smarter Contact that Launch Control doesn't actually have is the ability to use it as, I mean, I know that they say, Launch Control says they're, CRM, but just the functionality within Smarter Contact that gives you the ability to really manage leads at a higher level. And that's all I'll say about that right now. We're putting out a lot more content about Smarter Contact already. It's about to launch here shortly, so stay tuned for that. And for reals, hit the notification bell, right? So that you can get notified when we actually put that out if that appeals to you. So all that said, there obviously there's 25,000 more SMS messages included for $1,500 versus your $1,500 for 50,000. So they really like did a lot of changes. And I have it on good authority to say this, that Smarter Contact 2 months from now, 3 months from now, it's going to be a completely upgraded platform. So stay tuned for that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I've hesitated on putting some information out about Smarter Contact, is because, well, sure, you're going to learn it, you're going to listen to it, you're going to be like, hey, Christian, that's great. I know that I'm the right choice for Smarter Contact, or you're going to say, I know that my choice is Launch Control. Either way, but once we put out that information about Smarter Contact, it's bound to change here within a couple months, because there's a lot of really great stuff that's taking place. So I'm actually not allowed to say anything other than that, because there was some tight lid stuff that I really want to tell you, but I can't, so I'm not going to. All that said, no, it's not illegal. You could definitely text message market. There's just hoops that you have to jump through, which frankly, those hoops aren't necessarily anything that's a big challenge. The registration is done for you, and it's something that we really enjoy as far as the benefit of text message marketing and the ease with which, the setup for 10DLC basically on our behalf is done. And that's actually true for Smarter Contact or Launch Control. There's something else I didn't tell you, and if you're tuning in, you're going to be glad that you are here, because I wanted to share something that has been a work in progress in our back end. Now, we all know that when we target ostensibly text message marketing leads, we are looking for off-market opportunities. Well, off-market opportunities are great, but we also know that on-market opportunities can be great as well, especially for those of you who, hundreds of you who have bought the on-market offer system that we have, that just helps expedite the process of getting multiple offers, just mass offers out there on-market leads all over the place. We're using Privy, of course, and you can check that stuff out on our site or here on YouTube to just understand a little bit more about what that is. But there's also a third category. And the third category, we've been wanting to target, and we have been targeting. We've been paying to skip trace these leads and then put them into, our preferred text marketing platform. And then we'll use that as kind of the third leg of the stool. And I kind of look at this, and we don't have, names necessarily nailed down, but it's like the trifecta, man. It's the trifecta of real estate marketing for lead generation. So you got your off market, okay? And then you have your on market, but what's the third? Well, the third is kind of in the middle. It's literally off market, but they used to be on market. That's expired listings. So expired listings, if you have been investing in real estate for a really long time, then you already know that expired listings are a great opportunity to reach out there with, did your realtor fail you? Those types of campaigns. And also they would purportedly be more open to creative financing, right? If they were looking for a certain price, whether it was because that's what they wanted, right? Because I'm not throwing realtors under the bus. I am one. We work with them. We love realtors we work with. That is just to say that the realtor failed campaign, right? Did your realtor fail you? Is a very popular campaign that you would likely be aware of. But when they're in a situation where, they, as the seller, want a certain amount for their property, then, there's nothing that's going to change their mind. Okay. Realtor's just going to say, look, I'm telling you, you need to do it like this. It's not going to sell. And then it falls off of the MLS because, the listing agreement expires, the listing expires, and, it doesn't sell. They're in more of a situation where they're met with reality, where the seller is going to say, okay, well, no, I get it. All the comps in my neighborhood are $120,000 and I wanted $500,000 because I just really like the house or whatever, right? This is a very extreme example, which probably has happened actually. But when you come to something that's more reasonable, let's say the property was listed for sale 300 days on the MLS and it finally expired, maybe because of an incurable obsolescence that, really just couldn't be ameliorated. Maybe it didn't qualify for traditional financing. They knew it was a investor special, but nobody wanted to buy it because it was priced too high. Well, now after 300 days of being on the MLS, the seller is going to be a lot more reasonable, ostensibly, and they're going to have their expectations. Like, this is what I said yesterday about somebody who we have a lead that's in pre-foreclosure, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get qualified for a mortgage, within the next 3 days." Their auction date is like 4 days from today, or less, 3 days from today. I said, we need to take his feet and firmly plant them on the ground of reality so that they can actually start taking the path that's going to lead to recovery from all of this. And that is, they're in pre-foreclosure. They're about to get their house sold at auction, but they're like, nope, I can still qualify because, this pie in the sky person told me that I can get qualified for a VA loan. Well, anyway, long story short, their VA loan is actually not going to help them even if they were to get qualified, which they're not going to get qualified because their credit's destroyed through this process of being 16 months, without paying their mortgage, this and that. But their interest rate, it would be even higher. So their mortgage payment would be even higher than it is now, $800 more. So all that said, as a very realistic tangent, his expectations haven't really shifted yet. But this fictitious example of, listing their property and it's been 300 days on the market, their expectations have probably been adjusted. So their feet are firmly planted on the ground. So creating a marketing campaign to target these expired listings is a very good idea. But doing it has been in the past the same process, going through the skip tracing of the leads and then uploading them into either Launch Control or Smarter Contact, which were the only two that we've been using for the past year. And it was the same. It costs a lot, lower barrier of entry, only if you're going after a small list, but we want to go broad. We want to go really wide. So we're going to go deep and wide at the same time because we're across multiple markets. But for you, if you want a better solution to that, I've got to introduce you to something that we're actually putting out some reviews and content out about, and it's called Creative REI Reply. And it's absolutely insane. So let me just show you this. This is what the site looks like. Creative REI Reply is honestly, it's like something that I have wished for the last several years was in existence. And for me, and I've talked to the owner just in the same way I've talked to the owner of Smarter Contact, they're actually not direct competitors of one another. So if you have Smarter Contact or Launch Control and you have Creative REI Reply, you're not stepping on toes. This isn't something that's like either or. We're doing all of them. We're doing all three of them, including Privy to use for on-market opportunities, and then the mass offer system that we're using. This is going to literally automatically pull all the FSBOs, for sale by owners, anybody who you would see on Zillow in whatever market you have. And then it's also automatically going to pull all of the expired listings in that same market. It's going to skip trace all of it for you, upload it automatically for you inside of their platform. And then this is the best part. We have, working within Creative REI Reply, we have an employee. Her name is Mia. And she's a really, really good employee because she's working, she works 7 days a week, actually. We can't tell her to take any time off, actually. She works 365. She works 24 hours a day. She's AI, guys. She's AI, and she is crushing it. There was beta, and then we're getting beyond that beta right now. But even during beta, it was crushing it. So, we've been talking to Sean, a couple other people who are, the movers and shakers behind Creative REI Reply. And I got to tell you, like, we were at an event a couple weeks ago where Chris was speaking on stage, and he was, obviously focused on, what he was teaching from stage, where Brad and I were just sitting, in the front row. We're there, we're ready to, support him, but also learn from the other speakers. And he kept getting blasted on his phone, like another prospect, like literally somebody who's a motivated seller lead that was an expired listing that we didn't have to pull a list for. We didn't have to do any of that, which we're going to talk about when you're pulling lists a little bit later. We're going to talk about doing that in a a fashion with which you can have the best impact for your off-market leads. And that's pursuant to a question that was asked, which we'll get to in a minute. But all that said, like, we were getting blasted, and it was, I don't know, man, this is like week one. So week one of actually implementing it. We've been doing a lot of research. We don't take this lightly when we're like recommending something, because we need to know that it works. So all that said, with these platforms, like, I'll leave links to them in the description below. If you use them, they're all affiliate links. You'll be supporting the channel. So obviously, thank you if you do. But honestly, like, it's about taking action. So if this is something that appeals to you, you don't have to do all three of these all at the same time, like we're doing right now. But I'll tell you, if you're going to pick one, if you're going to pick just one for now, you have this, you can't go wrong. So check out Creative REI Reply. It's something that's super awesome. That's getting us a lot of leads, hands over fist. Believe me, we're going to be doing case studies of closed transactions from it. Just like we've done case studies of closed transactions from Smarter Contact and Launch Control. Like, every single one of these methods works, and it's really just a function of what do you have the capacity for right now. Speaking of AI, there is something coming around the corner for the other platform that I mentioned that you're absolutely not going to want to miss hearing about, which we'll do more content on later. But again, there's kind of some things I'm not supposed to talk about, even though I really, really want to. So if, Adam, if you're seeing this, just know that I kept my promise. I'm not saying anything about that yet. But, you know, it's really all three of them to use in concert with one another to get the best result for your real estate investing business. You can start with any of them. But the price point for Creative REI Reply, we did talk about this. Not exactly sure. I know it's not that expensive. The cheapest lower barrier of entry for you, if you're just brand new to real estate investing and you're ready to go, is definitely going to be Smarter Contact. To continue watching this video and the other trainings about how to skip trace the lists, right? What lists to target in the first place that are going to get you the best return on your investment of marketing dollars and actual money spent investing into the list itself. What platforms to use. It's going to be Smarter Contact. Smarter Contact will be the lowest barrier of entry, lowest cost per month, and it's going to get you a result, period. The result is motivated seller leads that are ready to sell. So if you are new and that is, you're like, I'm ready to start, I would highly recommend you do that and use the link in the description below to sign up. In addition to that, you have to obviously know that when you're in front of a seller and you're having those conversations, you got to know what you're talking about, obviously. And you want to know that you inside feel confident taking them across the finish line. So if that's not you, if you're like, man, you're right, I do want to feel confident in how I engage with sellers, then stick around with this channel. There's plenty of trainings. There's a training that we just released yesterday where one of our clients was trying to sell a deal, and they were talking to an agent. Chris got on the phone with that agent and said, hey, look, like, here's the deal. Your buyer that you're representing wants to buy that property. Let's move forward with it. And the agent was like, no, I need a commission. And Chris was like, basically, you're going to get a commission because you have that buyer who's going to flip the property and then again sell it retail resell, and then you're going to get the commission there, and you have the opportunity to buy or bring a buyer as well. So, you know, you can get 10 grand instead of your 2,100 bucks that you might get right now, which in any event, my point is stick with the channel. I mean, I'll be live talking about seller leads as well, talking to seller leads live and managing that. But Brad does it too. Chris does it. So between the three of us, you're definitely going to want to stick around and just, you know, hear what we have. If you get one little golden nugget, just like a lot of, you know, you who are here live right now. And then those of you who are actually clients that are part of our mastermind, which you can find more linked in the description below about, you're going to get those golden nuggets that are really going to expedite the growth and scale of your real estate business. And it all starts with understanding the right tools to use, understanding how to use those tools, understanding how to communicate with sellers and close the deal, and then understanding how to dispo that deal. And then ultimately the next step after that is, Are you going to record yourself with the checks to the bank? Are you going to get a wire transfer directly into your checking account? We do the wire transfer now, but we used to do the checks because it was fun, and I've been doing this since 2009. So it's been a long time getting, a stack of checks. But at the end of the day, this is a business. You got to treat it like a business. I was talking to an appraiser yesterday, and I met her. Her name was Shannon, and she's been a real estate agent. She's an appraiser, and she's been in this game for a really, really, really long time. And just reflecting on the journey since 2000, she's been doing it since 2006, so even longer than I have. And ultimately, as I had this conversation with her, she's like, yeah, I've invested in properties, I flipped properties, and now I'm just doing the agent side and I'm doing the appraiser side. What you have to understand about real estate and real estate investing, if you're new, is that there's some activities that you can do and kind of plant your flag, and I'm a business that does this, that's scalable, but most of it's not. What do I mean by that? What's scalable is when you think of this from a wholesaling, creative financing, buy and hold, BRRRRs, and everything that you can do, even note investing, bond for deed, all this stuff in real estate investing. Not any one strategy is something that's going to be scalable, but what's really not scalable is rehabbing properties. And it's scalable to a point in your own market, but at a certain point you get burnt out. And even if you're outsourcing, you get burnt out. So if you want this to be a long-term wealth generator, you obviously need to start thinking about, even from the very beginning, not making the same mistake that I did. You're just getting into real estate investing. You think wholesaling is the route to go. Great, do it. But also open up that toolbox and start putting rental property tools into your toolbox so that you can understand how to acquire rental properties, even if you're saving up a chunk to put a down payment on it. Or what I'd recommend instead, or in addition to, is you either A, use private money, or B, you can buy on terms and get rental properties right now for $0 out of your pocket, and obviously getting tenants in there to start paying the mortgage down. You can buy it subject to, combine that with seller financing. You could do wraps and really creative things, that all of those things we discuss on this channel, by the way. So of course, stick around and subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. So I'm going to check just to make sure that we don't have any questions that are coming live, and then we're going to continue with the rest of the questions that are already here. But that is text message marketing, a few things that you didn't ask, but I know that I've been excited to share and that I would believe would benefit everybody who's watching. So let me go ahead, and as I navigate it away from the live stream where the questions are, check that out to make sure we don't have any questions coming in. And if you do have any questions, please ask them. I'm happy to answer right away. All right. Mute this. Okay. All right. So the next questions that we have coming up right now is okay. Well, Chris has given some love to Brad on the last call. When I get my real estate license and hang it, best believe the brokerage is going to be investor friendly, zero to deal for sure. Investor friendly brokerage, that's this right here, zero to deal. And he said, bro, that intro though, dang, it's like an episode of Dr. Phil and it got me hooked. If you haven't seen this video yet, you should definitely watch it. That was the one I had mentioned earlier where Chris was speaking to an agent who was, how do I put this? Just not seeing the picture of how to work to really grow their own business together with real estate investors. And, they had half of it down because they're going off of the MLS to find off-market opportunities to bring to their investor buyers, which is great. But there were some other things that I think what I would say with an integrity is limiting beliefs that this person had. And Chris was just working through those limiting beliefs and ostensibly an argument with them. So you should definitely check that out. It's unfiltered. And then Danny B, where can I get this system? He's speaking to how to hire virtual assistants and outsource your business. So I did a live that was 4 days long, 4 days. And what we did was we covered an entire system, but it's not just the VA hiring system. It was also the Creative REI Intensive, which is coming up right now. And the Creative REI Intensive is going to go through literally that. It's Creative REI Intensive. It's not just financing. It's opening Pandora's box of creative real estate investment, auto direct seller marketing with AI, and how to automate that process, how to enroll agents and investors for a creative real estate investing business, not just finance, pitching creative in the setter closer model. That is teaching the setter closer model how it actually works to tee up, when you're doing cash and cash doesn't work, or you're going for specific scenarios and exits. That's what we're going to cover too. It's 9 weeks is what it is. And by the way, if you're interested in this 9-week Creative REI Intensive, you might still be able to get in. If that's something you want to join, you can do that. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But it's going to start July 18th is day one, Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. It's going to go for about 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less. And then we're going to have the weekly masterminds opened as office hours for attendees of the Creative REI Intensive, where we're also going to cover underwriting creative deal structures, advanced REI sales and negotiation tactics to close deals that are both creative and otherwise, coordinating creative transactions. It's really important actually to understand how to coordinate creative transactions, because you could have the pitch down, you could have even your contracts to a T. And if you don't know how to actually explain this to perhaps your escrow company, your title company, or your attorney, whoever you're using in your state to close and coordinate the transactions, then you're going to run into some hiccups. I remember the very first deal that I ever did years ago was actually a seller finance subject to combination. We made a lot of money, 200 something thousand dollars. And I was doing this creative deal. And when I went to the title company, they said, I don't know how to do this. I've never heard of this before. Well, I had never heard of it before either until, I had a mentor that was telling me you should do this, this, and this, and this. Okay, great. So I'll do this, 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 and this. But then I had to actually go explain how to do this to the actual escrow company, to tell them, hey, this is what we do. We need this doc, this line, this line. And it was very interesting. Here's the point. I don't fault that person for not knowing, because this is creative stuff, although it is completely legal and a lot of it's been around since the 60s or before. It's just not as widely known. So there was a manner of education that, I had to explain to this person how to do that. You might be in that situation too. So that's why understanding how to coordinate creative transactions is really important. And then crushing it as an agent to benefit investors. Again, coming back to this call that we posted yesterday, that where the real estate agent was, they had basically half an investor hat on and then a full agent hat on. Well, don't wear them both at the same time. Take your agent hat off and put the investor hat on. You found off-market opportunities to bring to your buyer. I don't know if you have a exclusive buyer agreement with that buyer to pay you a fee. If you didn't, you should. But that's one thing that a lot of agents don't know, even if they're exposed to and open to doing creative whatever, right? Whether it's real estate investing creatively, or whether it's just fix and flip or finding buyers. And that's what we're going to cover on week 8, crushing it as an agent to benefit real estate investors, as well as your own business, of course, as an agent. And then week 9, we're going to talk about advanced deal structures for business growth and scale, which is super exciting, because that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, the goal for me, and I know for a lot of you who are already in real estate investing, is how can I not just be the owner of a business that owns me? Like, I have to show up. And if I don't show up every single day for 13, 14 hours a day, then my business falls apart. And you don't want to be on the grind all the time. So that's one of the business scale tactics we're going to be talking about, how to actually get out of the grind, fire yourself so you can scale a team. And that, of course, leads us to the VA part of this. And that's when we had that masterclass for 4 days where we were talking about business scale. We actually included the Creative REI Intensive, which was insane because it's a big value. But anyway, show up if you want. You can find more information about that linked in the description below if you're interested in that. I'll do that after this call, after I'm done with the live, and we'll make that happen. So the other question will be, I'll curb that for next week because it's been about 45 minutes. The 45-minute mark is coming up. I wanted to make sure that y'all had questions. If you don't have questions now, that's fine. Leave them in the comment section below. And hey, together we'll make real estate investing easy. You guys stick around for next Friday. Get your questions lined up, and I'll be looking forward to seeing y'all next Friday and before then, because we got a couple other lives that we're going on too. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Happy Friday, happy weekend, and happy belated 4th of July for those of you who were out there and I didn't get a chance to personally